Good. Now that worked. If you've had access to our data set, you realize that it's a sales, it's an order. It's a sales order for a company that sells bicycles, and this company sells these bicycles in the East African countries. So that is Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Sudan, Somalia, and Ethiopia. That's 7. Yeah. So we need to look at this data and try to help this company understand how their sales are moving in these different countries, and also help them understand if they're making revenue or if they should close their shop down. So in data analysis, the first thing we want to do is try to understand the objectives of the organization, or the objectives of this particular data analysis exercise that we are trying to conduct. And from our data set, you can see we have order details, customer details, and product details. And for us to be able to capture the right insights from this particular data, we need to be able to work with different departments within this particular company. And part of the people that are going to gain so much from our analysis is the management, and they can use the proceeds of our analysis for planning purposes. They can use it for decision making in terms of budgeting, in terms of whether they need to add more staff in certain departments where there's lag, or whether they need to they need to budget in a particular area, and they also need to be able to understand sales performance. And also the sales and marketing department will also benefit from this data analysis in terms of understanding how they can improve sales, understanding where their marketing efforts are being wasted, or where they need to put in more marketing efforts. And also there are other departments such as the production, the operations and logistic department that needs to understand how the order to delivery timeline, how long does it take between the time a customer orders a product to the time where this product is delivered to them. They need to be able to understand that. So we are going to do that from our data. We're going to help them understand that from our data. There is also the product management team that needs to understand how different products within different bikes, let me not talk of products so much, different bikes perform in different markets. And they need to understand that perhaps in Kenya, a certain type of bikes sell more. Perhaps there's a certain type of bikes or color or something that doesn't sell at all, so they need to recall it from their inventory. So they also need to understand that. And then also customer service in terms of understanding the customer behavior. And also there's the finance that needs to understand. They need to understand the profits, the money matters within these particular sales data that we have. So once we have tried to get ideas from these different departments, we need to come up with specific objectives to work around. And I had outlined a few objectives here for us to work with. So the first objective we want to pursue here is to understand sales trends. We're coming back to the data to try and understand the different fields and how they're going to help us with these particular objectives. So don't worry about that. So we need to be able to understand the sales trends. Are we making more sales as time goes by, or are the sales declining? So we need to understand that from the data set. We need to identify profitable products here, and in this case, profitable bikes. We need to understand that we need to know which products are doing better. We need to know which products should be recalled from the market. And our analysis is going to help us with that. The other thing is we need to help the sales and marketing department improve customer targeting. And we do this by understanding the different consumer behaviors. We need to know which kind of bike performs better in which country or which particular cities. And also understand that which type of, which color performs better. So we're also going to do that. We also need to help the operations and logistics department optimize inventory management. And This is also going to help the product management department. And we are going to do this by understanding which products move faster, and in which places. And just as we've said in improving customer targeting, we need to know which product does well in which particular consumer segment or customer segment, and then we see how to stock that. And the last thing we want to do here is evaluate delivery performance. We need to know how long does it take before a customer orders, how long does it take between the time a customer orders a bike to the time in which it is delivered? How many days does it take for that to occur? We also need to understand. And having set out these objectives, we need to ask ourselves particular critical questions that can help us, in our data analysis, that is also going to help us to see whether the particular data that we have here is going to be able to, achieve these particular objectives. So the critical questions here, in terms of understanding the sales performance, one is we need to understand which bike categories are generating the most sales. We need to understand what are the top selling bike models. We need to understand their difference in sales between weekdays and weekends. We need to understand whether on Sundays we make more sales than we do on Wednesdays. So we are going to be able to do that from our data. The other thing we need to understand is profitability. And in profitability, we need to understand what is the average profit margin for different bike categories and models. Profit margin is basically the difference between the price with which this bike is selling, what do we call it? Let me just call it a profit margin, like how much profit do we get from each particular bike. I think that's simpler. And are there any low margin products that should be discontinued from the product line? The other thing the other questions we need to ask ourselves in terms of customer insights is in which countries are most bike sales concentrated? And are there any customer segments with distinct buying preference in terms of color choices or bike models? So we are going to be able to answer those particular questions. And in inventory management, we need to understand which bike models have the highest turnover rates. And turnover is basically the rate at which they sell. And are there any models with slow sales that are taking up storage space? And that is going to help us with optimizing our inventory management again. Now, in terms of delivery performance, we need to understand what is the average delivery time for different regions, and are there any areas consistently late deliveries? So we're going to be able to answer all these questions from our data set. Now, I'm seeing here Enoch is saying great work there. Thank you so much, Enoch. You can comment, by the way, within the live chat. In case you can't hear me, in case you need me to repeat anything, you can add that comment to the live chat, because I'm able to look at it from my phone. I had to put it so that I don't miss any issues. So you can make those comments there. So now, in data analysis, normally after setting the objectives, after meeting the stakeholders and coming up with objectives for our data analysis, we need to follow it up with data collection. But in this case, our data is already with us, so we don't need to bother about that. What now we need to move into is data cleaning and preparation. And in data cleaning and preparation, we want to understand, does our data help us in answering those particular questions that we've asked? Does this data have all the fields? And the fields, when I'm talking about fields, I'm talking about the columns. Are all the fields able to help us in that particular analysis? We need to, and if there are any fields that are not within these particular columns, can we impute those fields? Do we have columns within the data set that can help us impute? To impute is simply to come up with a new column from other columns. Now, there's that. We also need to make our data set printable. What we have right now is basically what we call a list. And we can also get rid of different columns that are not serving are not going to help us within the analysis. The other thing we need to do is check if there are any empty cells, because that might affect our analysis. And we also need to conduct I think exploratory data analysis should come first, where we try to explore and understand our data. But I think it's also part of what we're doing here, and that is what we need to do. And you look at this data, we realize we have. You click on the first row, which has the columns. You realize we have. When you check down here, there's the count that shows us that we have 17 fields. And we look at the different columns here, and we have sales order line key. I don't think we need that, so I'm going to be deleting columns that we don't need. I don't think, while it's important, the first one is order number. While it's an important part of the different aspects of the organization in data and all that, we don't need it in this particular analysis. So I'm going to delete that. I'll do that and then delete from here. And then order ID, I don't know what has happened to it, but I don't need it, so I'll just delete it. Delete. Sales order line key, we don't need that, so we're going to delete that. And now we look at different fields here. We have order quantity, which we're going to need because we need to understand how many orders did we make. Item cost, that is the price with which the company bought the items. Item price, that is the selling price. Order date, delivery due date. This is going to help us to understand the order to delivery timelines. Customer names, I don't think we need that, so I'll go ahead and delete. And then we have customer state. This is basically the towns where the orders were made or the sales were made. And then there is customer country. This is just a capitalized version of the countries. And then we have product category, product subcategory, product color, and models. Now I want to convert this whole sheet into a table. You can do that by clicking. I think we covered that in the last session. Just click Ctrl T, and of course you check if your table has headers, and then that's okay. And that has been done for us. And here I think they're giving us a data validation error. And let me see what they're telling us here. So let's see the validation. Okay. No, that doesn't matter right now. We'll sort that out. The next thing we want to do is to at least highlight this column. We're coming back to imputing. We're going to impute those particular columns that fields are not here. I'll help us identify them and impute them. But we need to make at least the data a bit presentable. So I want to highlight this particular, the header column, and I want to make it, I think that works. Yeah. And maybe we can make them, let me see if we should change the fonts to white. Yeah. And I love Times New Roman, so I'll just Control A everything here and change it to Times New Roman. And here give it 12. And yeah, that worked. And the other thing I want to do is now when I scroll down, I want my header to be fixed. So I'll click anywhere within the cell to table design and click on, no, it's not table design, on view. Anywhere within the table, click on view, and then there is the freeze panes. And sorry, I should have clicked the second column. And then now freeze panes, freeze top row. Now, when we scroll down, we realize that our header remains fixed. The other thing we want to do now is to try format the different data. Try check if the different data are in the correct format. And we want to look into the dates because we're going to use that, and we realize the dates are okay. We don't need to format that. But so to format that, if I told it was here, if it was general, you check here under the above the number ribbon in the home tab, and there's dates here. You can format it as a date, long date, short date, time, whatever. So here we'll just maintain it as date. We also want to look at our prices. And we want to in number form, and I think that's okay. And the prices here in Kenyan shillings, please note that. The other thing we want to do here is try round these prices to the nearest whole number, because these particular decimal points are not of so much value to us, and they might affect our outcomes, and also to just make these a bit clearer. So to do that, we use the round. Let me just create a new column. Let me create to the left. Let me insert. Oh, sorry. Control Z and okay. Insert, and we're going to name that. Let's name it item cost. And here we want to use the, okay, it's giving us a validation error. I'll just come here to data, and data, we have data validation. I hope you're following. And here, just go to data validation, and here let us just say we allow any value. And okay, now we should be able to edit our column to item cost. Yeah. Now, what we want to do is we want to use the round formula. Sorry, we said our functions and formulas have to start with an equal sign. So we want round. Let's click this, and we want to round, in this case, C2 to the next whole number. So we're going to give it 0. Click enter. Did I? Good, it works. Now it has rounded this to the nearest whole number. Now, because we have this this field that has been should I say formatted, that has been created from the item cost, we can now delete this. But then you realize if we try to delete this cell right now, it's going to affect the not cell, but this column C. It's going to affect column B, because there's a formula that links this column B to column C. So what you want to do is we want to copy. Just click anywhere within that column, that is column B, the new column that we imputed, and then come here to the header and select all, and then Control C to copy. Once you do that, again, select here, right click and paste special, and then you paste values only and click OK. And now we have pasted our values. Now, if you check the values, you realize, no, we've made an error. So I'll just Control Z, and again, try pasting again. values. Good. Now it worked well. Now when you click on any of those cells, you realize it doesn't bring the within the formula box, the formula bar, it doesn't bring the formula because we've pasted the exact values to that particular column. Now we can delete this column because we don't need it anymore. Sorry, I inserted. I want to delete you. Good. We'll do the same for item price. Insert a column. Let's see if we can name it. But I know it's going to misbehave, so let's just correct it. The validation, let's remove the data validation error. It accepts any value, so that's okay. Now, normally data validation is normally helps us in security and also in helping us ensure that when we have a data, we call it a data sheet that is being operated on by different team members, you want to input data validation so that a team, when somebody enters something that is something like maybe a text or a number, or it's not supposed to be a number, they get an error. Or if maybe you want to validate and say in a particular column you want to have maybe just numbers less than 10, and somebody comes and enters 20, then they get a validation error. So I think that is clear. So we'll go back to imputing our, not imputing, but trying, I think it's imputing still. We were trying to clean this particular item price here. Oh, sorry. You say I'm too fast. Sorry for that. So sorry for that. Sorry for that, Mori. For the item price, we are going to do the same thing we did with the item cost. So I'm going to slow down. So that is it. But maybe if I try explain the data validation again, is here, say an example is we want to ensure that what is entered within this particular column is whole numbers only. So we'll just click on that particular column, come to data validation, and come here and say allow whole number. And you can specify if maybe we want whole numbers, maybe between, let me say between 100 and minimum is 100, maximum is 200. And then we say okay. This is just for practice purposes. That's not what you're supposed to do with the item price. So here, say for example, I enter, no, I didn't enter the validation error. I should have shown that. So an error alert, let me say here, let's say wrong input, and error message say enter a number between 100 and 200. Okay. Now here, let me enter 100 and I think it will work. Go to the next cell, try entering 300, and now I have an error. And it says this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined by this cell. Now, why didn't it capture? It didn't capture our particular validation rules, or rather the error. Okay, let me see here. Enter a number between 100 and 200. I hope I'm not fast, guys. If I'm too fast, kindly just let me know. And then in error alert, let's say wrong input. Title. Now I added a message so that when someone clicks on a particular cell within this column, they're oh, I have validated just one cell again. Anyway, let me just show what you're supposed to be showing here. So you will see that now it brings an error alert. That number should be between 100 and 200, and so let's just say yes. And you should have been able to stop that, but that is how the validation works. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that particular validation because we don't need it here. So here it's any value and say okay. So now we can round. We're still going to be using the round formula. So this is cell D2, and you want to convert it to the nearest 0 decimal point, and that is it. Nice. Now you realize it has brought this decimal point. That is 0. Okay. It has rounded it, but it has brought it with decimal points. And now in this other one, it didn't bring the decimal points because of the data validation that was there, because it was only accepting whole numbers. But we can still correct this by just coming to the home tab. Under number, there's these 2, 3 dots. You see, there's this one that yeah, you can see them. This one that adds, and then there's this one that you can use to remove the decimal points, and I think that is okay. Now we're going to do the same thing, because you see when you click on any cell within this item price column, the new one that we've created, you realize that within the formula bar, the formula is shown, which means if we try to delete the item price in cell in the column D, it's going to affect the column C, and we want that not to happen. So we're going to go ahead again, click on any cell within that particular column, and then here, and then select all by moving your cursor on top of the item price, that is the header row within that particular column, until you see an arrow that faces down, as you can see, and then that selects all. Then Control C, or you can right click to copy. If you right click, why did it do that? Yeah, you can right click. See if it comes. Yeah, you can right click and copy, or you can Control C. And then again, you're going to come here and select that particular column again, and then right click and paste special. And in pasting special, we want to paste only the values. We don't want to paste including the formula. And then click on OK, and it did that thing again. So it means you're going to Control Z and do this again, and paste special values. Yeah, now we have values. Now you click on any. How did you do that? It brought that back. Put that back. Sorry for that. Let me do it again. Yeah, now when you click on the cells within this column, you realize that the formula is gone and we only have the values, which means now we can delete this column. Now we'll move to imputing the different columns, the different columns of fields that we need that are not present here. And one of the things we need to be working with is the profits. And so we need to create a profits column. Let me create it here. So I'll insert a new column and just name it profits. And the profit is simply, it equals the item price, which is, we're going to work with the second row, which is the first part of the first row of our data set. And that is C2 minus B2, and that should give us our profits. When I click on enter, it's going to fill down the profits. It's going to automatically calculate the profits for the different, for the other rows. So we do that and we have our profits here. The other thing we need to have here is a timeline between the timeline of order delivery. And so we're going to impute another column here, and we're going to name it order to delivery. Oh, sorry, Brett. Brett says that I'm going too fast. Let me slow down now. Sorry for that. I don't even know what I am running away from. So sorry for that. I'm going to try slow down once again. Now, what we are doing in this step is we are trying to impute new fields from the data set that we have. Because remember that the questions we need to answer includes profitability, and we don't have a profit column. We need to be able to understand delivery performance. That is, we need to understand the average delivery time. And yet we do not have, while we have the delivery date and order date, we do not have a timeline between the delivery date and the order date. So we need to impute that as well. I hope I'm now as slow as can be. And the other thing is we need to understand the difference. No, let me hold that thought, and we impute the delivery timeline first. So let's just name this order to delivery. Maury says he's getting an error in trying to copy special. Okay, what we're doing is we don't copy special, but we paste special. And I think, let me just hold this order to delivery and answer that question, because I don't want us to move without having everyone on board. So do I undo? Okay, I don't want to undo because it's going to do a lot of things. But let me, for example, an example here. And actually, we can do the same thing within this profits column. So here, what you want to do is select any cell within the profits column, any cell that is in column D, and come up, bring your cursor up until you see the arrow down, and then select, and then Control C. You don't copy special, you paste special. Control C. Once you Control C, click on any cell again within that particular row again, and then click again bring your cursor up again and select that row, that column once again, and then right click and paste special. And then here it's going to give you different options. That is all, formulas, values, formats, comments, validation, none, ads, and then there's operations and all that. Now we want to focus just on the values. We don't want the formula, because you realize now, if you look at formula, but there's C2 minus B2, but now we just want the particular values to be shown within this particular column. So we're going to select on values. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm addressing the challenge that Brett is going through. So you want to select on values and then click on OK. And when you do that, you realize that instantly the formula bar changes and eliminates the formula. And I hope that is clear now. I hope you've gotten that, Maury. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Brett says he's having a problem with the formula calculating onwards. Well, I don't understand why would be a problem, but let's try to, because normally it fills down unless there are areas within that cell which is within your data that is empty, which I think we should have addressed first thing, but we are addressing that after we're done with imputations. So Brett, try check what you're doing with the order to delivery and see if the challenge is going to come up. Or you can share the particular error on the WhatsApp group. I'll check and see how we can solve that. So in order to delivery, we need to understand the difference between the delivery due date and the order date. And you just do that by subtracting the timelines, and then we're going to convert this into general, because at the moment it's under the date format, which means when we subtract, we're going to get dates here. So here we're just going to do a simple formula, which is order, that is delivery due date, which is now we're going to click on cell F2. F2. Oh, sorry, I'm doing it in the wrong whatever, control home. Yeah, so this is going to be equal to cell F2 minus E2. And yeah, just as I said, it's going to give us a date format, and I wanted it to give us that, so that what you do is just select that column and come here to date and change it to number. And we have that. And now you realize our number has decimal points, but we don't want the decimal points, because the days, we don't want to have our days in decimal points. So just still on top of the number. Sorry, I know I'm calling it number. On top of the number, you click this twice. Let me select the whole column, click this twice, and it eliminates the decimal points. And Brett, let me check what to see if you've shared the error that you're undergoing. Okay, you haven't, but you can share that particular error there so that I check. Now we have an order to delivery timeline. The other question that we have here is was to understand. Yeah, we need to understand the difference in sales between days and weekends, which means we also need to have a column that establishes whether a sale was made on a weekday or on a weekend. So we are imputing that as well. And then the other thing is to understand the different trends. We also need to impute. The month, and we're going to do all those from the date. So we want to let me create the other column just after the order date, and we want to name it. This is let me just name it type of day, type of week. I think that makes sense. And we want to do that by using the text function. I first want to format this as general. So we're going to be using follow with me. So we're going to be using the text function, which is this type of week. It's going to be text. And then value. In value, when you click on a formula, normally you see down here it highlights for you the format of that particular function. So the value here, we're going to select E. Again, I'm doing this in the wrong cell. You want to make sure you're doing this in the first cell within that particular column. So this is going to be this is H2, and we want to convert this into and you see it has instantly converted the type of week for us. Now we know whether sale was made on a it has given us days. This is for the day of week. And, this has given us day of week. Let's give it day of week, and I think we can use this to impute whether it's a weekend or a weekday. And the other thing we wanted to do was get month. So let's do that by inserting another column. Name it month. Format to general. And we use a similar formula. We just change where we wrote days, now we change to months. So this is E2. And this is going to be sorry. Yeah, now we have the different months. You can, if you click on the filter here, we have August, December, January, July, November, September, October, and September. And so is that. What else are we supposed to impute here? Is we created a necessary column here. Okay, we'll sort that issue down there. Now, I think we have everything that we need for to be able to answer our questions. If there are any questions up to there, let me check Slido if there are any questions before we continue into data analysis. Let me see if there's anything we haven't imputed. Profits. Okay. Okay, nobody has sent questions to the Slido yet, so I guess we are all on the same page. Oh, okay, charging. My battery is running low, so I'm just adjusting that so that I don't get cut off. Yeah, now we're good. So now the other thing we want to do is we want to check if there are any empty cells or rows or anything that will be a deterrent to our data analysis. So we in an empty cell, we want to check for the number of, how am I doing that? Control home. Empty cell, we want to use the sum product function to help us in that. So yeah, I just wanted to get the table one, so I clicked on that, and it's blank. Then value, we say is it visible? Yes. I hope you guys can see my work, or maybe I should expand my a little bit. Oh, still writing a formula. So table one. Let me have. Good. And I don't know if you guys have seen that particular formula, but let me just expand, zoom. Am I zooming out or zooming in? And you can see in the formula bar, there's a sum product, and there's those two dash and is blank, and we are checking for table one if there's any blank cells, and you realize there's 20. But I know this 20 is as a result of the imputation that we were doing. So I'll just come here to the end, control end, and yeah, you realize these two rows. So I'll just delete them and see if we still have any empty empty cells, and now it's 0. So because in the process of our imputation, I don't know if you did that within your sheets, but I created 2 additional rows that were not initially within the data. So it's important to clean your data and try to see if there's any null values that could cause any errors. Now we want to go ahead and perform what we call basic arithmetics or key metrics within this table. So just click on anywhere within the table and then click on table design. Now, something you notice is when we are outside the table and you check the ribbon up here after the health tab, there is no table design. But you click, yes, the recording will be here, will be on YouTube. Mori is asking if we'll get a recording. So you click anywhere within the data and suddenly the table design tab appears. And let me try to be slow so that we all get the concepts as we continue. So here in the table design, I want to check the total row. And what this is going to do, it's going to add a row at the end of our table where we can perform simple arithmetics like count, summation, average, and all that. So I hope we've gotten that part. So I'll just click Control. Let me see. Okay. No more questions. So if you have any questions, please keep them coming. Click Control N to go to the end of our data, and you realize here it has given us accounts of all the models. And let me just here. And what this total row does is we can do different arithmetics with it. Like now under the item cost, let us look at the average cost here. So you just click on when you click on a cell in the total row, you get a drop down to its side. So click here. Now we can say, let us look at what max the highest cost was, and we click on max and we find that it was the highest bike cost as to 80,661 shillings, which was the minimum item that the company bought was 53,404. Averagely, how much did they pay? They paid 248,746, that. And then we can also see count, because we need to actually we didn't talk about the number of data sets that we have. We have 1201 rows, and you can also get that by clicking on any column. And then now when you check down here, let me move this a little bit. When you check when you click on any column, when you select any column, normally Excel will try to give you again the basic arithmetics like the average, count, and sum, but the table enables you to do that per column. So come here again, let's look at we have the count. The count doesn't make sense. Let's look at the maximum, and let's also look at the maximum here, and also look at the maximum profit that we got. And you can also look at the total number of profits that we got, and that would be sum. And you realize they had like 200,602,388 in profits alone. And in order quantity, we need to know how many orders were made, and that one we're going to count. And there are 1,201 orders, and we can see averagely how many orders were made per person. And that is going to give us one, because basically other people were ordering one bikes. We can play around with it. And something else we can do here is let's take at count. And Here again, count. I think these are the most basic arithmetics. Here we can look at the average order to delivery timeline. So average, you say averagely between the time it takes between the time a customer orders a product to the time that it's delivered, it takes 6 days, and that is not a good sign. But we are going to explore that within our pivot tables. And I think for the key metrics such as the total sales, let me look at the total sales here. Total revenue, we have that. So let's just sum. And now we realize total sales of 499 million. And the total amount was spent on buying this product. We also sum that, and there's that. So you can do those different things. The other thing now I think we can do when we are still on the table is understand how to filter. We can decide to, if we were analyzing, and say, let me give an example with to delivery. Yeah, we can try to filter, or to filter within the header. When you convert a list to a table in Excel, it normally gives you, drop downs that we call filters. So this drop down allows you to filter. So you can click on it, and we can sort from order to delivery. Okay, let's work with order to delivery. We can sort from largest to smallest. It has corrupted this, so we are going to just make this into general. Why is it? Okay, that is in terms of validation. So, data. It's not allowing us the data validation. But anyway, that isn't helping much, so we'll ignore it. Okay, let's ignore that. Now we can filter here to just have the orders that took 10 days. So we do that by, there's this what we call number filter, and then now we can select or we can select a particular number. And under these number filters, it has given us the different unique fields within this particular column, or other unique values or items. So we click on 10, and we have that. Now if we do here, if we click on it, if we select it, you realize we have 108 deliveries that took 10 days, and the average of course is 10, and the sum is that the sum doesn't make sense, but because it's a number. And you come to the end of the data set, and here it has given that average, and you realize it has dynamically changed to 10. Initially our average order to delivery was 6, but because we have filtered and only gotten the deliveries that took 10 days, it has changed to that. And I think it's average. So I think that is home. And something else that can be done here is, let me see. No, I think our data is clean enough and it's good enough for us to now perform our in-depth analysis and try to understand the different relationships between the different what I'll call different fields or different variables. Forgive the chicken. But before we move to that, I want us to take the live quiz. And we have 15 of us are within this session. I don't know why the others dropped out. But those who are here, let me start in this so that we come and share the live quiz. And we're going to be taking the quiz from this link that I am sharing now before we move into pivot tables and in-depth data analysis, so that we test our data analysis skills. So click on that link. I am sharing the screen live before I just want to ensure that it's visible before we start. The quiz is going to take us just roughly 5 minutes, then we move to the next part of this class. Okay, didn't share, so let me stop sharing and share the entire screen again. Good. Now you can join using that code that has been shared. Let me also join here. Three players already joined. Let's keep joining. Let's keep joining. And it's a competition. We're going to be getting leaders, 6 players, 3 more people. Good. Keep joining so that we start. And we start in 2, 3, 1. So so question 1. I'm clicking enter in 1 so that we start. And just before we start, each question has been timed, and you have exactly 35 minutes for most of the questions. So enter first question. But that's the wrong validation. It's supposed to uncover insights and make informed decisions. So this one person that has said to collect data is actually wrong, and they hate people that say to uncover insights and make informed decisions is right. So we're going to move to the next one. Most of us got it correctly. And do we have a leaderboard for that? Okay, we didn't disclose the leaderboard. We have it at the end. You know who are the champions of Excel here. So next question, get ready, get ready, get ready. And this one asks, does the pivot table allow you to do in Excel? Oh, wow. Summarize and analyze data, perform basic arithmetic, sort data alphabetically. Some people got it correctly. And we continue to the next question, which is on 4 of 10. And get ready, guys. The next question in 2, 1, enter. What is the primary benefit of using a dynamic range in Excel? And everybody got that correctly. So we move to the next question. Question 5 of 10. And time is up in one. Um, Only three people got that. And where did option 5 come from again? Okay, sorry for that. But the correct answer is matrix chart. On the next question, this is question 6. Then, what is the term for converting data from one format to another? That is, you're trying to convert data from maybe a number format to a date format. What we have done, what do we call that particular process? What is the term for that? For that, so let's see what we got here. And most people got it correctly. The term for converting data from one format to another is data transformation. Data sorting is what we did when we were trying to sort from largest to smallest or smallest to largest or A to Z. That is what we call data sorting. Data validation is what I told you guys we do. We try to input particular rules to particular columns, and data merging is simply bringing together different data sets. So nobody selected that. I'm glad. We move to the next question. Question 7 of 10. And we are still 17 of us, 19 now. So this is a true or false. I think you can see that I have to explain. And it asks in Excel, a cell reference that automatically adjusts when copied to another cell is called an absolute. And we've talked about this in the previous question. So what do you guys think? Hmm, 13 people got it correctly. No, 6 people got it correctly, and 13 people didn't. We were discussing that. Question 8, get ready. So oh, I almost failed the bill. A VLOOKUP function in Excel can search for a value both horizontally and vertically, and that is false because a VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup, and then we have HLOOKUP, which is for searching for things horizontally, that is within rows, and then a virtual lookup search for items or or, or value in columns. This is a virtual lookup. And this is supposed to be the ninth question, the second last question. And this one you're supposed to type what is when you're saving your Excel workbook, what extension? Is it .pdf? Is it .word? .ms? .txt? Something? You know. So figure that out and type. And time is for that one. And how many people got it correctly? We had cell, ego. Oh, somebody forgot to add dots between their, but we have how many people got it rightly? So the last question, then we get our winner. Is question 10 of 10. Which Excel function is used to join text from multiple cells into one cell? You want to join uh, first name with last name in a full names column. Which formula or function? Do you use concatenate? Do you use join, merge, or combine? And we did this in the first session. Six people got it correctly. Now let's see who our winners are. Thank you so much for joining the live quiz. And the leaders are Brian, where? And Brian won. Brian, send me your email or your number to the last number that shared in the WhatsApp group. You'll get something from us. And he's followed closely by Evelyn, and then we have Barefoot Contessa and Brian, who may hear his story. So I think I'll keep sharing that and continue with our data analysis. And I think before we continue, I should have seen which questions people didn't. Just a minute. Uh, I addressed the questions real quick before we. So the first question was, what is the primary goal of data analysis? And most of us answered correctly. Let me just go back and open that particular slide. So the primary goal of data analysis, of course, is to uncover insights and make informed decisions. And I think I don't know why we made the validation to collect data as the right answer, because I think that has denied some people from winning. And the next question was, which function in Excel is used to calculate the average of a range in cells? And I think most of us got it, which is average. Median is for finding the middle, the middle numbers, and count is for finding the total number of values. And sum is for summing the values, adding them all together. And the next question is, what does a pivot table allow you to do in Excel? And everybody got it right. No, 10 people got it right, which is summarize and analyze data. And that is what we are about to do next. We have looked at our data, we've prepared it, we have ensured it doesn't have any empty rows, and we've ensured that it has all the fields that we need. And we have made it ready for analysis. Now we want to use pivot tables to be able to summarize and analyze this data real quick. The next question was, what is the primary benefit of using a dynamic range in Excel? And the answer, I think everybody got it right, which is to automatically adjust the range as data changes. Now, this simply means if I was to if I was to like create a new column, and say in my like we were creating new columns within our data, and say in this new column that we have created has moved these cells that we were referencing further in different. Now, like say we've created a new column in cell B, and in cell A, or in cell A, there was a particular formula that was referencing this cell B. It means that if we are to create another data that is and place it in cell B, it's going to mess up our formula in cell A. But because our table is dynamically linked, it means that now whatever changes that is made, it's also made to our formula. Our formula will be able to adjust because it knows that we are referencing to this particular column with these particular values. So that is what that was testing. And what is the primary? Which of the following is not a chart type in Excel? Now in Excel we have different chart types. We're going to look at them. But there's a bar chart, there's a radar chart, there's line chart, and I don't know why people are picking option 5. I don't even know why it was here. But there was nothing such as option 5, but I'm sorry for that. That was not your mistake. And we'll look at what radar chart is, hopefully, because I'm seeing time is also really catching up with us real fast. And what is the term for converting data from one format to another? That is data transformation. As I said, data validation is you're trying to set particular rules for different fields. So it's like that someone can't enter a particular data type that doesn't follow that rule, or particular data values that doesn't conform to that particular rule. And then we have data sorting, which is what we did, where we sort the data from the largest to the smallest, from A to Z, from Z to A. That is what we call data sorting. And data merging is just bringing them together, joining them together. And the next question was, in Excel, a cell reference that automatically adjusts when copied to another cell is called an absolute reference. And no, it's not. An absolute reference doesn't automatically copy. What automatically copies, adjusts when copied to another cell is what we call a relative reference. And you can look more into that. And then we have another question that was testing us on VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Vertical lookup is what we use to check for different, like to try to see if a certain item is within a particular vertical range or within a particular column. And then now we have the HLOOKUP, which checks if a particular item is within a particular row within horizontally, that is. And now the default file extension for an Excel workbook is .xlsx. And of course there's .xls, but it's not the default one. And then we also have the comma separated value that can also save workbooks, but it's not the default. And that is mostly used for if you're in data science, you use Python. In your data frame, you'll normally load a .csv file, into pandas or something. So don't worry if you've not interacted with Python. That was just a by the way. And somebody said cell. Sorry, somebody said cell. Somebody else said capital X. Different. I don't talk about those. And now, which Excel function is used to join text from multiple cells into one? I think I'd addressed that because we need to move to the next question. And so I'll go ahead and share my. Okay, I see someone had shared a message and it has been retracted. I do not know why. Okay, first, before let me share the data set before I answer these questions that have been sent to WhatsApp. Just share the data set. I hope you can see. And somebody was saying here is. Okay, I see. Now this has been shared by Mori, and the error, I don't know if I can share my words, but that will expose so much of my data. But I'd love to share that particular error message here so that but I think we are all on WhatsApp, so we can see what has been shared by Mori. And that particular question says the operation, it's an error that says the operation cannot be completed for one of the following reasons. You have attempted to fill data in a way not supported by the table. Okay. Now I think what happened is, Mori, you selected the whole let me just give an example. Let me open my YouTube to make sure that everyone is seeing what is going on here. Good. Now, what you did is, you, instead of selecting just the data set within that particular column, within that particular table, you selected the whole column. When I do this, you realize, when I scroll down, you realize it has selected the whole sheet, including that which is beyond the table range. And you want to select data that is within the table range, which is why what we did is, once you click on any cell within that particular, within the table and within that particular column which you want to, copy and paste special, you bring your cursor up just on the profits. Don't move it up to the cell, to the column name up there, just on row 1 until you get that arrow down, and you can see my arrow is not on D but it's on profits. And then there you proceed to select, and then you Control C, and then again select any cell within that range, and do the same thing again. Don't move up to the, because you see, when you come here, if I'm to select, it's going to select down. I think you can see that it has selected down, but that is not what I want. Yeah, so let me just Control Z so that I come and select only within the table range, and I think you can see that. And when you select within the table range, now you can right click and paste special and click on values. I hope it's not going to affect our data. And okay, it has affected our data, but let's correct that. Again, select here and then select again, paste special values. Okay, and I think it has pasted as it should be. And Control Home to go back up. Okay. And you see that our profit is so. I think I've answered Mori's question. The other person was saying that's my formula, but it's only calculated for one cell. Okay, now in this case, what you can do, this is by, okay, he's called BMW on WhatsApp. What you do is, you, for example, let me do an example here. Let me add a new dummy column here. Insert. Yeah, and say I add 100 to it, enter, and it hasn't filled down. What you can do, if you can see what I'm doing here, is your cursor, bring it to the bottom right until you see that plus sign, your salaba, and then you double click and it's going to fill down. If it was a formula, no, this has filled 100 down because I simply input 100, not formula. But if you do that for a formula, it's going to fill down. So just within that within that column, the first cell where you put your formula, bring this msalaba, let me call it that, to the bottom right corner of that cell, and double click. It fills down. So because I don't need this, let me just delete it, and we move to our analysis. Any more questions before we move to creating a pivot table and start analyzing our data? And I think we have now like 32 minutes left. So I'll try as much as possible to be done in the next 32 minutes without being so fast. So to start a pivot table, I hope we are all together. You can just confirm in the chat if we are together, so that I don't leave anyone behind, kindly. Just confirm in the chat if we are together, so that I don't leave anyone behind. And I think, let me assume we are together. So to insert a pivot table, click on any cell within the table, and then click on insert. And you realize for pivot tables, you're given different options here. And just to show as an example, I'm going to click on the recommended pivot tables and see how, Excel, the different suggestions that Excel is giving us here. And one of the suggestions it's giving us is sum of items cost by country. Let me zoom. Can't zoom. Okay, good. Sum of item costs by country, and you see here Kenya. And then there's the sum here. There's Ethiopia, Kenya, Rwanda. It has given us how items cost as in each and every country. And then there's sum of item price by country, sum of profits, sum of orders to delivery, and all that. And then it has a number of suggestions, but I don't want to use that, so I'll just cancel. And still, I'll just click on pivot table, and you're going to, when you click on pivot table, you need to input the table range, or rather the table with which you want to create the pivot table, and where you want the pivot table to be placed. Now, in our case, because already our table has occupied almost the whole window, we need to put this in a new sheet, and click OK. So it has created a new sheet for us. Let's just name this. Okay, we're starting with sales performance. So let me name this sales performance analysis. I need water. And I hope we are all together in the sales performance analysis. Now, before we get to the sales performance analysis, I want to understand how pivot tables work. And as we said in our quiz, the pivot table allows us to analyze and summarize our data. Give me 1 second to drink water, guys. My throat is dry up. Just not 1 second, but 1 minute. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for bearing with me. My throat was. Now, let us discuss the structure of the pivot table before we get into our analysis. Now, to our right, you see there's a pivot table field, and this one basically has the different columns that we have in our data set, as well as the areas within which we are going to be summarizing these particular fields or columns. And filter here is just for filtering. Columns, this is where you place your column. You'll see how it works. And then here you place your rows, and here you place your sum of values. Now, in analyzing sales performance, one of the things we want to understand is by categories that generate the most sales. And we want to do this by selecting the product subcategory, and let's fill it in our rows. And then we look at our order quantity. This one is, we're trying to understand the buy categories that zinauzwa sana, that are sold most. And when you place this subcategory on the rows, you see it has already created for us that in our pivot table to the left, if you can see that. And we want to compare it with our order quantity, and this one we want to place in values. So from now here you can see that road bikes were sold more, and we only sold 209 motorbikes, and we sold 992 road bikes, and we sold 209 motorbikes. And of course, the grand total is the total number of orders that we have, which we had already identified from the first key analysis that we did. So we want to visualize this using a chart, and we can insert either a normal chart on this side, or we can insert a pivot chart, sorry. And just do that anywhere within the pivot table, and then now this pivot table analyze will come, just like it happened with the table. When you click outside the range, the pivot table analyze inapotea. So here we pivot table analyze, pivot chart, and we want to insert a clustered column. So let's insert that, and to put it here. And from this chart, let us give it the plus sign you see here is for just adding or removing different chart elements, like axis titles. We can name. Let us give them axis titles, and I think we don't need to name this one, so let me remove that, and just this is vertical, so we just give this axis title alone, and let's name it orders. The other thing we want to do is perhaps from this we want to add, no, we don't need that. We don't need a data table here, but we can add a data label so that we know the exact sales. And here, this is style. We can give it different styles, and I'm going to go for we have different styles here we can choose from, and I'm going to go for the dark theme. And there's color, there's colorful. We can play around with the colors, but I think blue works well. The first colorful panel works well for us, so we'll go with that. And yeah, so we have our first analysis, and which was understanding the sales performance of different categories. And now we've seen that road bikes perform better, and now we can try to narrow down and try to analyze these different trends per country. And what we'll just do here is we can either add the country. Let's select the country, and we can add it as a column. and you'll see the difference. Now, let me bring our pivot chart down, and now you see that it has given us a breakdown of different sales per category, per country, and that has also been visualized within these charts. But let me just remove the country because we will get there. And so this is sales per category, and I think this also gives us the top selling bike models or other categories. But we can also let's try changing the product category to model and see what works. So that we remove this. Yeah, and now we realize we had bikes and mountain bikes, and now we realize that the road 150 bikes sell more, and then the road 650 follows it. No, it's followed by the mountain 100 and then road 650. So that is in terms of us trying to analyze the different sales performance of different products and different models. Now, ordinarily, we should have different pivot charts for the different things ordinarily, and we can still do that. We should still do that, and we'll do that. But for this one, allow me to leave it at just comparison between the models and leave this here. Now, the other chart the other thing we want to do is profit. Sorry, we want to do is a profit analysis, and in understanding profit analysis, we need to look at which products give us more profit, so that as an organization, we can now, if it's giving us more profit and it's selling more, then we can now stock it more. So let's just go back to the sales table, to the sales sheet, sorry, navigate back to the sales sheet, and you do that by clicking on it. And again, click on insert pivot table, and we want to insert it in an existing worksheet, and then click on, do you want to insert it here really? Let me cancel that and see if we can get space here. Okay, let's just create a new sheet for it. Yeah, let's create a new one. So pivot table, new worksheet. Okay. And here now we're going to be comparing different product categories and the profits. So again, let's select the product subcategory and put it under rows, and then we also want to select profits and put it in values, and these are some of the profits, but we can also look at the average profits per product. I think that would make better analysis sense. So averagely each product. Now to do that, sorry, click on the drop down icon to the left of the sum of products under the values field. So and then now you're going to click on the value field settings. Once you do that, it's going to, there's some count, average. Let's click on average, and then now we see that averagely mountain bikes have been giving us 191,594 in terms of profit, and averagely road bikes give 161, which is not much, which isn't a major. It's not a big difference. So I could summarize that these particular products have the same, they have the same profit margins in terms of just looking at the average. So I want to also visualize that, and let me use something else. Let me use a pie, and let me use this 3D pie chart. And okay, now in terms of style, I think I like the dark background, so I'll just give it that. And then okay, the data labels doesn't make it look so good, but I think it's just, what did I do? It's okay that way. And something else we can do now is we can try to analyze these profits now per country. And we can do that using by adding the country column here. But now that we won't be able to visualize using the pie chart, but we can also use a slicer and just on the pivot table analyze, there's something we call insert slicer. So insert that, and let's insert it, and let's insert country. Okay. We just move it, and now we can see. We can play around with different. We can play around by selecting different, by filtering different, just different countries. Like now you see when we click on Ethiopia, the values change. If you look at the pivot table, click on Kenya, the values change. You see it now, the grand total is now 166,779. Click on Rwanda, it's now 165. Click on Somalia, it changes. So that is what we call a slicer, and we use that to analyze for different should I call it different fields, or it's used to sort. It's used to filter. Filter is the word, not sort. It's used to sort. And I think I'm just going to clear that filter within the slicer. And I'll keep this slicer because we need to understand different geographic orientations of our customers. So I think that is that. And no, we don't need this slicer here because I don't want to mess with this. And this was a profit performance. We're racing against time. So the other thing in terms of profit you want to do is try to understand. Let me just reduce the size of this one so that we add I add another pivot table that gives us the profit trends over time. So we are going to be analyzing profits and the different monthly. So I'll just go back to our table, and then we'll insert pivot table and to existing worksheet, and we're going to insert it in profit performance, and let's insert it here. So that's okay, and it has inserted our table there. And this one we want to compare. Profits. This one should be here for different months. Okay, that is not making sense. Let me. It's supposed to be the item, the product subcategory in the rows, and then we have profits in the values, and then we have month in the columns. Yeah, moving that down so here we can see the different profits in different months, but I don't think that makes so much sense, but let's just do it. So here we have that analysis. I mean, it's as simple as that. You just drag whatever fields you want to the different areas, and then you can play around with charts. So let's insert here a pivot chart. It's suggesting a clustered column. Okay, let's do that. And this sheet is not enough for all these. Ordinarily, your work should be cleaner, so, and I should model that, but because I already did, let me just put it here. And you see now it has given us the different, and we can see from just looking at our visualization that we sold most items in July. That is, most road bikes were sold in July, and most mountain bikes were also sold in July, followed by November. We also our sales were also high in November, and yeah, that is in terms of road bikes. And mountain bikes, you see the zili hike at July, and then zikarudi chini in August, and then zikaanza kupanda and declined a little bit in December. But that is the whole logic about around it. I wanted us to do a line chart for this, but it's not going to work here. We'll do it somewhere else. So the other thing we want to look at is geographical analysis. We want to look at different countries, and in these different countries, which cities are doing well. So let us go ahead and insert pivot table into a new worksheet. It has done that for us. Yeah, my throat is drying. So here we want to, in understanding customer insights, we want to look at different countries. And so we are going to be inserting the countries in the row fields. Where's the country? Just click on it and drag to those, and then we are going to insert order quantity in the values. And it has already given us the table has already been filled for us. And now we realize here from just looking at this data that Kenya has had more orders, followed by, it's a lot of work, and followed by Sudan, and then Sudan, then Somalia, Tanzania. We have Uganda, then we have Ethiopia, and Rwanda lying somewhere in there. Now I want to go ahead and visualize before I had a slicer for us to be able to look at deep per country, to look at the different countries, and also look at different cities within those countries. So let me just add a pivot chart. I shall suggest the clustered column. We'll go with that. But this time we're going to work, I'm going to try a 3D clustered column chart. And let me give it a dark view. Yeah, and let's also add the vertical axis title so that we know. Oh, okay, it's editing the wrong thing. Awesome. Now, at least the visualization makes it easier for us to understand that Kenya made more sales, followed by Sudan, and then we have Somalia, and all that. Now, I want to add a slicer so that we are able to say country and also this customer state. Okay. Now we have these two slices. I want us to be able to understand which particular cities in the different countries were doing better. And we'll start by, let's start by filtering, just having Kenya. Oh, that is Ethiopia, Kenya. And within Kenya, let us add, okay, here, let's add the customer states. Wait, why did it link Kenya? No, kuna makosa imefanyika mahali kwa hii data. Because naona customer state, let me first clear this filter and see. So Kenya. Aha, it has given Kenya all. Okay. Okay, there's an issue with this data, so let me remove this state because it's cluttering our data for no reason. But what I wanted to bring up is the fact that we can try to filter per state, and then now here again we filter in Addis Ababa. We see that in Addis Ababa there were just 67. In Hargeisa, I think that is also in Ethiopia, there were 65. This is in Sudan, and but I think there was an issue with this data set that we should have addressed, and sorry for that. And the good thing with these issues is when you're analyzing your data, you encounter them. So let me just clear this filter and leave it at that. And so now we know the number of orders. We know that we are selling more in Kenya than in any other country. And now with this, we can try to understand if we need to, like, now we realize in Rwanda we are performing poorly. So we need to understand, is it that our marketing strategies in Rwanda are not doing well? Those kind of insights, what this is going to help us with. So this, let me name it as customer insights. We are finishing in 20 minutes. Sorry for taking too much time. Just give me 20 more minutes so that we finish. Let me remove this slicer. No, we don't need it. Now I want to insert another pivot table that we are going to use to try to understand the preferences in terms of color for the different countries as well. So to our sales, insert pivot table. I want to insert it in an existing worksheet and into the customer insights, and you want to insert it in this range. Okay, and we have it. So you want product color, you want to put countries under the column, and you want to see order quantity because you want to see how many they are. So let me just I wanted to move on to, okay, I want it just make this smaller. So with this, we can see, we can generally, if you look at the grand total on in the columns within this specific pivot table, we realize that this is the red. The red color is preferred by most people, followed by the black, and then there is the silver. But we want to understand that in these different countries, which colors do they prefer, so that we see if we want to, if we maybe within our product management, within the product management team, we'll discuss on how to develop more red products and all that for these different countries. So let me just insert a chart first. The pivot, analyze pivot chart. Okay, let's. Now, if you look at our data, you realize that the red is preferred by most. Wait. No, this hasn't visualized it the way we need it. Yeah, this is not what we want. So of course, this doesn't make sense. Of course, we can see that Kenyans prefer red. Kenyans prefer red and followed by Ethiopians. But again, now this is because Kenyans made more sales here, and most of these sales were red. I think that sort of makes these variables intertwine. Then we have silver. You realize it's running low, but let me see if there's a different chart that can visualize it better. That chart. No. Perhaps we change the country to here, and then product color. Yes, that makes better sense. When you put the product color under the column and country in the rows, then it makes better sense, as you can see. And that is the beauty of Excel and data analysis, because you can always play around with these different fields. And we see that the red here has been highlighted in orange. Let me see if we can change those colors so that red appears red. Okay, let's just stick to what we have. Now you see that red was bought most in most countries. Actually, it's leading, and then followed by black. And we can actually, the other thing is we can also filter within the chart. So here we can just filter to have just see how the blacks performed. And you see that it performed better in Kenya, then Sudan and all that. But then again, this is because most of the orders were placed in these countries. So I don't think that makes much sense. Let's just compare all of them. And we have red doing better, and then silver is not being bought. Now, after realizing this, now the product management team can go and find out, why is this silver product not doing well? Is it that people don't like silver generally, or is it that this silver is not, they can now go discuss that, but this can help them. So let me put that here. And the other analysis that we should do before we and there's something let me change this chart type so that we have different charts here to a pie. Yeah, I think that would make sense. Yeah, pie chart would make sense in this scenario. But this one is not it. This is not it. No, the columns still make more sense. They provide better visualizations for us. So I think the last thing we want to do that I believe answers our questions is trying to understand the delivery performance. So again, insert pivot table, new sheet, worksheet. Yeah. So we have order date, and then we also have want to look at the deliveries per country, and this is giving us count, but that is not what we want. We want to look at average order date. Wait. Oh, this is sorry. I selected the wrong one. It was order to delivery. Wondering why. And we don't want the sum. Again, we want the average order to delivery per country, so that we see in which country we need to improve. Let me just select all these and reduce the, okay. I hope that is visible. No, wait, it has captured average order delivery for all the countries at once. No, what have I done? Okay. Okay, let me leave it like, no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, let me look at the maximum. I think looking at the maximum would make more sense. Okay. So this is, well, I wasn't expecting that from the data, because it seems like the maximum order to delivery is same in all countries, which means there's an issue. And this is something that we can actually report to the logistics company and tell them, like, averagely in all countries. And that I think points to a systematic challenge. But that is really interesting. I thought it would be different in the different countries. I'm actually surprised. So, but at least we know that the maximum order to delivery is 10 for all countries. And let us look. Let me see if the minimum is different. Maybe it's different, and it's 2 for all of them. That's interesting. Let me just validate this by looking at the sales data. Let's look at the order to delivery. Let's filter it and select just the 10 within that and click OK. And then come here to the countries and see if it has all the countries. It has all the countries. I hope you guys have seen how I've filtered that. So I think our pivot chart is right. Let me just clear the filters, and here then now I think we have something to report to the team. And averagely, of course, we already found out that the delivery takes six hours, and I think that is what we needed to visualize. So let me just do it. Let me make it average here. And then we remove all the decimal points. And they're all 6. So let's just visualize that, because now we have to give a report, and we're not going to give that report without. Let's see how the back chart. So Uganda, and let us add data labels. Okay. Okay. That is not making sense. So we change the chart type to okay. I think the column will just work. Now it's funny, because now since it's the order average order delivery is the same, so all these have been labeled 666. So this is not making any sense. So let me change to, I think here pi would make sense. Yes, it makes sense. At least it divides it uniformly to make that sense. Now I think that is it, and let us go back to our questions and see. This is order to delivery. See if we manage to answer all the questions that we were supposed to answer, and see if we are able to meet those objectives. Oh no, we haven't visualized the sales trend. So I don't know if I should add that before we go back to the questions. That is full. Okay. Let's just do that, the time series analysis. And this is the last one, guys. We are finishing. I had promised 20 minutes, so we have. Okay, just add me 2 minutes or 10 so that we don't miss on anything. And here we're going to work with month and order quantity. And I think now we already have a gist of how this works. So once our pivot table has summarized those things for us, come to the pivot chart. We want to insert a line, because that will better show us how our products have been moving. And this is what we normally call time series analysis. And no, I wanted to style it, make it black. Yeah, and we have that. So let me confirm if we've answered everything. So the first question we'd asked here was, the first thing we wanted to do is understand sales trends. And let me just say, and I think that can be answered by these particular this particular worksheet and pivot table and pivot chart as well, so that we see that when we started selling in July, assuming that we started selling in July, we sold so many products, and then it declined. Now, this might have been as a result of product reviews, that people bought our products, went out there to the market, and realized it's not working. And now these negative reviews affected the number of people that were buying products, or that because during the birthplace of a product, that initial phase, there's normally that excitement, and then now we stopped marketing and our products went down. And now it went down in August, Kidogo Pandad in September, climbed a bit in October, and then it also went high in November. And now the marketing team could tell us maybe it went high in November because they were marketing more, or they had different strategies, and then again in December it declined. So that particular objective we have met, and we've also met it by these other sheet that has given us different sales performance of the different products, and also the profit performance also gives us an overview of the sales performance. And we see that the profit performance of the different bike models that we have is more or less the same. Mountain bikes are a bit, they give us more profit, but they are more or less the same. And also something that we did, and I don't know if it is here in sales performance, we have noted that the Road 150 does better, and we sold 85 of those. And now maybe we can know better market that product. We can better produce more of that product. So that, I think, that has been answered. The next thing we want to answer is, did we identify the profitable products? Yeah, we have identified that. I think I've addressed that. The profit margins were more or less the same for the different models. And then we want to improve customer targeting. Of course, we're going to do that by understanding the different here in customer insight. We know that now the red bikes were selling more. Now we can target those, we can produce more of that, we can market those more to those different countries or different areas that love that. And I think that answers, and yeah, that answers that. Now we want to optimize inventory. I think the same thing also answer that, and then evaluate delivery performance. Now we've realized that averagely order to delivery in all countries takes six days, and the maximum in all countries is 10. Now we need, as the logistics team needs to understand why do the orders take that long. Is it in the packaging? Now they need to analyze their supply chain and understand why these orders are taking that long. So I think that answers. And maybe if we can go, did we answer these questions? Yes, we did that. What are the top selling bike models? I think we've answered that. Difference in sales between weekdays and weekends, we haven't done that, but because of time, I left that slide. The seasonal trends in bike sales, I think we've looked at the sales trends, that is in our time series analysis. Profitability, we've looked. Customer insights, we've looked at that. Inventory management and delivery performance. So I think that is it as far as analyzing this data for this particular organization is concerned. Now, what we're supposed to do from after having all these analysis and insights is, now we need to put this into a report. And we are not going to cover that today because of time, but I'm going to, in the next 2 days, I'm going to do a report of this particular sales data that you've worked with, so that you see a sample of what we expect of you in the assignment, which brings me to the assignment that I think has been shared with us in the GitHub repo. If you haven't checked it yet, let me just open the GitHub. And if you go to our GitHub repo, it should bring a window that looks like this. And of course, there's the first README file. But for the different modules, like right now we are on module 2, which is advanced Excel. You click on it, it brings you here. Well, this is where you're supposed to download the data, and also the module assignment is also here. You just click on module assignment, and there you're going to get the assignment instructions, as well as a link to submit your assignment. But the link to submit your assignment is also also sent to the email. I'll also share it to our WhatsApp group as well. So I think that is it. Are there any questions? Is there anywhere where I lost anyone, so that I address before we call it a session? And also, we'd love a feedback from you guys as to whether we are meeting your expectations in these trainings. So we'll share with you a Google form that you can fill for us and tell us if this session has met your expectations, is if there's anything that you expect us to improve for the next session, you can make suggestions, because at the end of the day, we are trying to do this for you, not for us. And we'll take into consideration those suggestions that you give us. So are there any questions? Let me check Slido.